Hit it, Phil.
Can it be the breeze that fills the trees with rare and magic perfume? Oh, no, it isn't the breeze, it's Jackson time. La, da, da, da.
Stay tuned.
Right after this episode.
For our discussion.
From Television City in Hollywood, the Jack Benny Program. Guest Ronnie Burns. Presented by Lucky Strike, a light smoke. The best tasting cigarette you ever smoked.
Light up a light smoke, a lucky strike. The right smoke's a light smoke, a lucky strike. For the taste that you like, light up a
Light up a light smoke.
a lucky strike.
You'll say it's the best tasting cigarette you ever smoked.
Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Lucky Strike program. Well, here it is, April 6th, Easter Sunday. And I want to tell you the cutest thing happened this morning. When I woke up, Rochester, who incidentally is feeling a lot better, Rochester came into my room and he brought me a rabbit. He gave me a rabbit, a real live bunny rabbit, you know, and it was the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life. We were trying to figure out a name for it, and then I thought, oh, well, why bother? I mean, with the price of meat as high as it is. You beat me to that one. I won't be along with us very long. I mean, you beat me to the joke anyway, which is very, very good, I think. But, of course, today, Easter Sunday. Now, this is the day, of course, all over the country where the big thing is the Easter parade, you see. And here in Hollywood, they held it on Wilshire Boulevard between Fairfax and La Brea, you see. And all of the guests, you see, the celebrities were dressed up in their Easter finery, you know, strolling up and down the street. And up ahead of the parade, leading the parade, was Phil Harris. That's right, Phil Harris walking. Now I know why they call it the Miracle Mile. And of course, I wanted to be in the parade myself. You know, I bought a brand new suit to be in it, but it didn't get there in time, so I just stood on the curb and sort of watched it, you see. And it was a thrilling sight to see the women all dressed up in their beautiful new sack dresses. And just as the judges were about to pick the best-dressed woman, the most embarrassing thing happened. A laundry bag fell off a truck and won first prize. A fire hydrant came in second. Of course, I could stand here and tell you about the parade all day, but I want to get on with the show. You know, ladies and gentlemen, as you probably know, the younger generation has been taking over the recording business, you see. And many of the young famous singers are sons of famous fathers, like Gary Crosby and Ricky Nelson. Well, the closest friend that I have in the world is George Burns, and the friends are George Burns and Gracie Allen, you see. And their son has just made his first recording, and he's here with us today. I'd like to have you meet him, Ronnie Burns. Ronnie, it's just wonderful having you on the show.
Well, thank you very much, Uncle Jack.
He always called me Uncle Jack, ever since he was a little kid, you know. Of course, I've known Ronnie's father and mother for such a long time. I'm practically part of the family. I go to their house 4 or 5 times a week, and I go to all their parties. And Ronnie, I'll bet I had dinner at your house 1,000 times.
That's right.
Well, to celebrate, tonight after the show, you come over and have dinner at my house.
Oh, that'd be wonderful, Uncle Jack. Where do you live?
Where do I live in Beverly Hills.
I know, but what's the address?
Look, I invited you to dinner. If you're hungry enough, you'll find it. I don't know, the younger generation hasn't got that pioneering spirit. Ronnie, did your father ever tell you how he and I first met?
Oh, sure, he told me that story many times. How he was a headliner, and he went into his agent's office, and you were sitting there in the waiting room in tattered clothes, and the agent said to him, "Isn't there something you can do for that poor fellow out there?" And so my father went out and took the tin cup off your violin and gave you a small part in his act.
That's what your father told you.
That's what he tells everybody.
Well, look, regardless of what your father says, I will tell you the truth. I was the headliner at the Palace Theater, New York. And your father, George Burns, was working across the street, right on the street, selling hot chestnuts.
My father was doing that?
Yes. For 10 cents, he gave you 6 chestnuts and a chorus of Ain't Misbehavin'. So feeling sorry for him, I bought him some shoes and gave him a part in my act. You see?
Well, that's awfully sweet of you, Uncle Jack. How'd the act go over?
Well, the following week, we were both selling chestnuts. Now, Ronnie, who are you going to believe, your father or me?
My mother.
Gracie?
Mm-hmm. Mother told me the real story how Dad got started in show business.
Yeah.
You see, his first partner was a seal. The act was called Burns and Flipper.
Oh, I remember that act. Flipper the seal. Your dad worked with the seal.
For
That's right.
3 years. And then he finally teamed up with Mother because she ate less.
Now, what became of the seal?
Mother's wearing it.
Well, look, Ronnie, we could probably stand here and reminisce all day, But how about doing the song now that you recorded, your very first recording? Now, you go off stage and get ready, and I'll announce it. Ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie Burns will now sing this first recording that he made called She's Kinda Cute.
She's kinda cute. Dressed in sloppy clothes, freckles on her nose. She's kinda cute. She's kinda cute. She's kinda cute. She's kinda cute. She's a living dream in her faded jeans. She's kinda cute. She's kinda cute. She's kinda cute. She's kinda cute. She's kinda cute in the little way she walks. She's kinda cute in the little way she talks. The way she looks at me, laughs and winks her eye. Oh, I'm so in love that I could die. She's kinda cute in the little way she walks. She's kinda cute in the little way she talks. The way she looks at me, laughs and winks her eye. Oh, I'm so in love that I could die. She's kinda cute. Happy as can be, 'cause she's in love with me. She's kinda cute. 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 She's kinda cute.
Thank you. First time he ever ever sang. That's cute, isn't it? Thank you very, very much, Ronnie. And now I have a sketch, a play we're going to do that I'd like to introduce. Oh, but before I do, we must have our commercial. Oh, Don Wilson, will you come out and do the commercial, please?
You can do it yourself.
Don Wilson, come out here. What'd you just say?
I said you can do the commercial yourself.
Don, what's bothering you?
I'll tell you what's bothering me. For months now, I've been trying to get you to give my son Harlow a featured spot on your show, and you continue to say no. But let George Burns ask you to put his son on the show, and you do it just like that.
But, Don, George Burns is the best friend I have in the world. He's my pal.
Some pal. I charge you less for being your announcer than George Burns charges you for being your friend.
Oh, for heaven's sake, I pay him a few bucks a week to like me, and you make a big... Now, look at Don, you're going to do the commercial at your bin. That's settled then.
I'm not going to do the commercial, and that is that.
Now look what you've done.
I don't care.
But Don, your business is to do the commercial, not with those big feet. Just do the commercial, and do it.
Oh, all right. A Lucky Strike is all cigarette. Every inch a cigarette. Nothing but fine, light, mild, naturally good-tasting tobacco that's toasted to taste even better, cleaner, fresher, smoother.
Don't tell me, tell them about it. I know. I've been with them 15 years.
So when it's light-up time, light up a Lucky. You'll say it's the best-tasting cigarette you ever smoked. There's your commercial. I hope you're satisfied.
Well, there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. 12 angry men. So upset about his son, Harlow.
Oh, Mr.
The
Benny?
minute I don't use him,
Mr. Benny?
Yes?
You're wanted on the phone.
Here?
Yes, sir.
Oh. Excuse me just a minute, will you, please? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Benny. This is Rochester.
Rochester, what'd you call me for? I'm right in the middle of a show.
Did you buy a suit from Clemmer and Johnson?
Clemmer and Johnson? Yes, I bought a new suit.
Well, a man brought it to the house about an hour ago.
Oh, it's a good-looking suit, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope it looks as good on you as it is on him.
Wait a minute. You mean he wore the suit over?
He said for the price you paid, they couldn't afford to put it in the box.
Well, look, Rochester, it's a beautiful suit no matter what I pay.
Just a moment, boss. There's someone at the door. Come in.
Rochester.
Just a minute, boss.
Is this the home of Jack Benny?
Yes, it is.
Did he buy a suit last week?
Yes, the man from the store delivered it.
Oh, that was Mr. Clemmer.
Mr. Clemmer himself?
Yes, I'm Mr. Johnson with the extra pair of pants.
Who was that?
The extra pair of pants arrived. The censor is glad you didn't buy underwear.
Rochester, look, stop with the jokes and press the clothes and put them in the closet. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Has to call me right in the middle of a show. And now we've taken up so much time, I've got to get into the sketch. Oh, Don, Don Wilson, come out and introduce the sketch, please. Ronnie, where's Don? Don
He
Wilson.
stormed out of here and went home. I sort of feel responsible.
Oh, don't give it a thought. Imagine him getting so upset about his son, Harlow.
I know, but I've liked Mr. Wilson for a long time, and well, I don't want him to hold a grudge against me. I wish you'd talk to him.
Well, maybe you've got something there. I mean, if he was so angry that he left in the middle of the show and went home, maybe I ought to go over to his house and discuss it with him, huh?
I wish you
Come
would.
on, let's...
Just can't get over it after all these years. Imagine he's doing a thing like that to me, taking another man's son.
Oh, now, Don, will you stop pacing up and down? I feel the same way you do about it. But let's not let that mean old man spoil our home life.
After all the things I've done for Jack. When do you remember when he had pneumonia? It was a pint of my blood that got him on his feet again.
Yeah, I'll say it got him on his feet. You gave him the blood, he jumped out of bed, ran downtown, and sold it to the Red Cross for $10.
And on the way home, he stopped by our house and wanted 2 cents back on the bottle. Oh, when I think of how that man's insulted me, I could
now, Don, control yourself, dear.
I can't control myself.
No, try.
I am so mad, I scream!
Now look what you've done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, maybe we'll feel better after we have some dinner. Harlow! Harlow, darling. Dinner's ready. Madame, remember, not a word about this in front of Harlow. You know how sensitive he is.
Yeah. He knows if he's the center of conflict, he'll get all upset emotionally. Harlow, we're calling you.
Yes, Daddy.
Harlow, when we called you the first time, why didn't you answer?
I didn't hear you. I was listening to this Ronnie Burns record.
Ronnie Burns, give me that. Don't you ever let me hear you say that name around this house again.
Mother, what's the matter with Daddy, dear?
Well, nothing. Nothing, son. Now, look, Harlow, before we have our dinner, you must take your cod liver oil.
Gee, Mother, every day you give me cod liver oil. I wish you'd stop.
Why?
Because my teacher says our classroom smells like the Malibu Pier.
Well, you're going to keep on taking this cod liver oil because it was recommended by Dr. Dale and Dr. Iman.
I don't remember them.
Well, of course you don't. They were the 2 doctors who held you up by your feet when you were born. Now, open your mouth, dear. Come on. There you are. Oh, that's a good boy. Now, go wash your hands.
Okay.
Oh. Oh, honey, isn't he sweet?
He certainly is.
Oh, you know, it just breaks my heart to think that someday he'll grow up.
Oh, I'll get it, dear. Oh, it's you. The man who has the best friends money can buy.
Hey, Don, I know you're all upset about something, so I thought I'd come over and talk. May I come in?
Well, all right.
Lois, I suppose Don told you what happened at the studio today. And
We're not going to talk about it before dinner. But you may sit down if you wish.
Okay.
Not there. There. Harlow, we're waiting for you.
Coming, Mother. Oh, hello, Mr. Benny.
Harlow, we'll talk with him after we've had our dinner.
Yes, Mother.
Don, get Harlow's chair.
All right.
Oh, Harlow, we're going to have the most wonderful dinner.
I know I'm not supposed to talk, you know, while you folks are going to eat, but why would you put this bulldozer in a high chair?
For sentimental reasons.
This was Don's high chair when he was a baby. Now, dear, you just sit down and I'll serve the food. Here we are. Big surprise for you.
Oh, gee, what a beautiful turkey. How much does it weigh, dear?
23 pounds.
It certainly looks delicious.
Harlow, here is yours.
Smoke.
Mother.
And here are some nice mashed potatoes.
Thank you. Mother, tomorrow some of the kids are going roller skating. Can I go with them?
Oh, Harlow, dear, I'm sorry, but I lent your roller skates to a man down the street.
Well, what did he want them for?
Maybe he wanted to move a house. Don and Lois, look, I didn't come here just to sit and watch you eat. Now, I wanted to get something off my chest. I knew something was bothering you, so I'm trying to straighten it out. Now, look, I have nothing against Harlow. Believe me.
Why is he mentioning my name?
Now, Harlow, calm down. Never mind.
But he's mentioning my name. I'm in the middle of a conflict again, and I don't like it.
Calm down.
I can't help it. I feel tension in this room.
Now, Harlow, if you don't feel well, you just go up to your room and get ready for bed.
Okay. He upsets me.
Now, Jack, if you came over here to apologize, do it and get it over with.
Now, wait a minute, Don. If you're talking about apologies, you owe me one. Imagine walking off a show in the middle of the show just because you were mad.
You're darn right I was mad. Why, I just can't get over you're not giving my son Harlow a chance. Why, we've treated you like one of our own family. We've had you over here to dinner hundreds of times.
Oh, hold it just a minute, Don. All right, I'll admit I've been here for dinner hundreds of times, but I've always reciprocated.
Oh, yes, he's right, dear. Many times he's taken us over to have dinner at George of Gracie's.
Now, look at Don. Don, I know that you're upset about Harlow, and I'm willing to try to do something about it.
Mother, Daddy, I'm ready for bed. Oh, fine, dear. Come on out and kiss us goodnight.
I saw a bear last night on Bob Hope's program that looked like him.
Good night, Mother.
Good night, dear.
Good night, Daddy.
Good night, son.
Shall I kiss him, too?
I wouldn't let you kiss me if you were a French general.
Well, good night, anyway.
Now, wait a minute, Harlow. Wait a minute, just a minute. Now, look, Don, I know how you feel about your son. You too, Lois. And if you feel that he has talent and can do something, I'm willing to give him a chance, like I did Ronnie. Now, but I've got to know what he can do.
Well, okay. Harlow, why don't you sing something for Mr. Benny?
I don't know what to sing.
Well, Don, why don't you do that number that you and Harlow do so well together?
Okay, dear, okay. Now, Jack, I know this has been done before, but it shows off Harlow's talents very well.
All right, let me hear it.
Okay, dear, will you give us an introduction?
All right.
Right over here, son. When skies are gray, dear, don't you forsake me, son. I love you so, sonny boy. When there are gray skies,
What don't you mind in the least?
I don't mind the gray skies.
What will I do to them?
You'll make them blue.
What's my name?
Sonny boy.
What will friends do to you?
Though my friends forsake me,
What will you let them do?
let those friends forsake me.
Who will you still have in the end?
I'll still have you,
What's my name?
Sonny boy.
Where am I sent from?
You're sent from heaven,
Have I any special valuations?
and I know your worth.
And what did I make?
You made a heaven
For who, right where, on what?
right here on earth.
God bless me.
When I'm old and gray, son,
Want me to promise something?
promise you won't stray, son.
Give me a good reason.
Ladies and gentlemen, Uncle Jack will be back in just a moment. But first, a word about a light smoke, Lucky Strike.
Amigo, ¿qué hora es?
Ah, es tiempo para encienda un ligero, un Lucky Strike. Fumada ligera, un Lucky Strike. Para el sabor que usted quiere, encienda un Lucky Strike.
See, amigos, when you smoke a Lucky, you're smoking light. You're smoking superbly light tobacco. Naturally good-tasting tobacco that's toasted to heighten the lightness, to make the taste even better.
For the taste that you like, light up a Lucky Strike. Light up a light smoke. A Lucky Strike. You'll say it's the best tasting cigarette you ever smoked.
Thank you. I wish I had time to bring everybody out here and thank them, Ronnie, son, everybody, but I haven't. I just want to say that next Sunday, be sure and watch Bachelor Father, starring John Forsythe. I'll be back in 2 weeks with my own show, and I'll also be on the Shower of Stars a week from Thursday. Now, a very happy Easter, and be sure and buy Easter seals.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. I'm joined with John Henderson. Hey, John.
Hello.
And Kathy Fuller-Seeley. Kathy, we have an Easter episode for you, sort of. It's the Jack in the monologue mentions Easter. The monologue's all about Easter and how this is, I think it was actually Easter Sunday that this was being broadcast. And so he talks about it being Easter Sunday. And he talks about having a bunny and a couple jokes about a bunny. And I just, on the International Jack Benny Fan Club, somebody, I'd never seen it before, had a picture of Jack holding a bunny. It was from a way younger Jack. I mean, probably, I don't know, 1932 or 34 or something. Anyway, but I just thought, oh, that just works so well with this. I wanted to link those two things up because then Jack's holding a bunny and talking about a bunny. So it's just
we're talking about eating the bunny. So
yeah.
and so if I could make here's a follow-up fantasy Jack Benny episode where he has a dream where he's in front of a court of rabbits who want to condemn him to death, for the crime of eating rabbits. So like the turkey episode. So.
Yeah,
that's great. And when you say a court that he's in, I just watched our episode with Raymond Burr where they're in court against each other. And we did the intro. I loved our intro. I love that episode. That is just dynamite. So this episode is a fun one. I mean, a lot of folks, I was reading comments about this episode and folks were just like, oh, just laugh out loud. I thought it was so funny. To me, the second part doesn't work as well. I love the monologue and all of that. But at some point, I don't know. Do we want to give it? I'm trying to figure out if I want to give it away or not. But it has to do with Harlow. There's a thing about Harlow being a little kid, and it to me it doesn't work the best. But I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that. But let's go around and see, guys, what you think about this episode and what you want to point out. We'll go with John first. John, what did?
Oh yeah, I guess I'll talk about the Harlow thing first. I love grumpy Don Wilson. So when he first comes out and he's grumpy and he does the commercial, that's my favorite. And even the gag with him stomping, I think it works and is fine. We know for years and years they've been joking about Don Wilson being overweight, and they have various levels of extremes that they go in that joke. The idea that you've got Ricky Nelson, who's like this becoming this big star from Ozzie and Harriet, and a legitimate, rock and roll successful person.
Yes.
And then they've got, people like Gary Crosby, who maybe you've heard of, didn't really take off in the same way. And then, we'll get to the guest of this episode, Ronnie Burns. And so the idea that Don Wilson also has a son and he wants him to be, out there just like Ricky Nelson, I think is a great concept. I thought it was okay. It is a bit unclear whether this is supposed to be a young child who's just played by a larger, older kid, or if it's supposed to be a teenager who they're just treating like a young child. I feel like the setup of the whole gag wasn't quite explained well enough that you could really engage in it in a way that made sense. But it was still fun. It had its fun thing, the idea of them feeding him supper, and then there's a big surprise there. It was pretty funny. So that's my take on the what is it? What's his name? Harlow.
Now that's interesting to me, John, that you don't know much about Harlow, because I've never seen the Harlow episodes. Because again, I haven't seen many of the television episodes. I was saving them until I got the radio book done so that I didn't confuse the two. So I'd never seen any Harlow episodes. And it turns out he's on fairly frequently.
Oh, yeah. The later years, there's a lot of Harlow episodes. And there's probably a reason why you haven't seen any Harlow episodes, because
they don't make the top 10 best.
It would. You have a curator that somehow Harlow just doesn't work with him all that well. So it's like, I'm not a huge Harlow fan. Of the Harlow episodes, this one works pretty much one of the better ones.
We'll have to have a Harlow meter.
Yeah. I mean, some people might love Harlow, and that's fantastic. Yeah.
I'll tell you, the thing that I did like about it was Don and his wife's reactions. Like they're just they're acting like they're just so delighted in this ridiculous child. So I did like that.
That was the funniest part to me. That I mean, in any Harlow episode, it's really a chance for Don to shine, because it gives him something to do instead of just the ad or whatever. So that's the welcome piece of having Harlow in an episode. Harlow himself doesn't do that much for me. But
singing Sonny Boy, that was a
oh my God.
I did like that. That was funny.
Now, I had a question with that. I don't know if either of you know this, but I thought that Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy did that song together in virtually the exact same way. And
I can see that. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, I think they did. So and so when I'm watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, they've pretty much stolen that directly from Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy.
Bergen's not on television, so that's
no, and they did it on the radio show and stuff.
And yet then it also works as the parody of the maudlin way that Al Jolson made that song famous. He was the top early talkie star. Singing Sonny Boy, and I have reviews of people just crying their eyes out at the way Al Jolson sang that song with a little tyke on his knees.
Yep. So,
but just the way that he anticipates the lyrics and it gets more and more ridiculous.
Yes,
that was pretty funny.
And it might have been, now that I think about it, because I listened to a lot of the Jolson shows, it could have been Jolson with Charlie McCarthy when Charlie was on his show.
That would work.
That could have very well been what it was. because it just like I was just thinking I just heard this recently, but no, it was that was entertaining, that piece. Um, the whole Ronnie Burns thing, it's such an interesting time frame at this point. This is when rock and roll blew up in like 54, especially 55, 56, 57. This is 58. And so what's happening at this point in time is you've got Great Balls of Fire.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry
yeah.
Lee Lewis, right around this time, married his 12-year-old second cousin or something, and so it just torched his career. Elvis, right around this time, went off to be in the army. Yeah, I got drafted. And right around this time, certainly, and Buddy Holly and Richie Valens both perished in the plane crash, I think the same year. They might already have happened. I'm not sure with the time from this episode. And then
Chuck Berry got put in jail. So
Chuck Berry got put in jail. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. It's the day the music died, and all we have left is Ronnie Burns.
Yeah, and you have the brothers, the Everly brothers. They also went into the services. That now they've decided to both sign up together, but I think that was after Elvis. I think they just looked at and it's too bad, because they probably should have went, oh my gosh, everybody's gone, all our competition is gone, let's while the iron's hot, let's do this. But instead I think they saw Elvis go in and they said, oh well, we'll go in too, and so then they were gone for a few years.
Went in so voluntarily,
no, he didn't. No. I'm saying Elvis got drafted. Yes.
Yeah,
but they went in voluntarily. They decided together to go in as brothers.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but I want to say it was 1960, and so I think their career was kind of on the wane or something, and so they just went in 60, and then when they got out 63, 64, or something like that. But right around the time the Beatles were exploding, and so it was hard for them to try and keep up with that, and so that they for the next decade would be kind of struggling. So anyway, all that happened, so rock and roll was just dwindling here, and so the big acts, all the record labels were pushing, they wanted to have more control and be like, okay, we don't want to be at the whim of these rock stars who just disappear and all kinds of crazy things happen to them. They're like, let's get somebody we can control. And so then they had like your Frankie Avalons and your folks that were kind of fabricated folks, and Ronnie would be exactly that, Ronnie Burns, and had that same sound. They all had that same really soft, gentle sound, very peaceful compared to what rock and roll was. And so he
Pat Boone.
This.
Pat
Boone, yes. Pat Boone would have been a big one. There was just a lot of them at this time, Paul Anka and all those folks. So
well, it was so interesting to see that musical number, because it's different than things you would normally see on the Jack Benny program. It's not Dennis Day singing, let's say, and it makes me wonder whether they were trying to get like teenagers to watch the Jack Benny program or what, but it really seemed very different. It seemed like they were aiming at a different demographic in that song than they were for the rest of the program.
Yes, it could definitely be.
Yeah, but of course George and Gracie could twist Jack's arm on this.
Yeah,
so.
True. And so, I'm going to take him at his word that he'd released his first single, and he was like, okay, well, let's get him on here since I'm friend of the family. And Ronnie, I mean, Ronnie was popular on the Burns and Allen show. Certainly was a semi-regular on that show, and I liked him whenever he was on it. He's a good-looking young guy, and definitely has a lot going for him at this point.
I did appreciate the ease with which he could engage Jack, and part of that old story of how did George and Jack meet with
Yes.
you know, my dad says that he was the big
Yeah.
star, and you know, so I love how they're playing into those ongoing vaudeville beginning stories that I've always enjoyed so much on radio.
Yep.
But that Ronnie could come in with the twist of saying, "Oh no, I got this from Gracie," you know,
Yeah.
that
Well, and the just his comic timing with Jack and everything was nice. You could tell he'd been a semi-regular with Burns and Allen for many years because he could come over and do this smoothly. In fact, later in the episode, they actually have him come on kind of like the announcer. I think he either takes us to the commercial break, or he uh, says something about them going to
yes.
the house or something.
Supposedly Ronnie accompany. I have in my notes that supposedly Ronnie accompanies Jack to Don's house. So,
Yeah.
but that's kind of
Yeah. But we didn't see, he wasn't in Don's house that we saw, right? Well, that whole scene was kind of weird. I was like, I don't know if, you know, sometimes I space out and miss part of it, and you guys can help me if I mess this up. But I'm like, okay, well, so he's in their house, and they've got him over there because they're trying to talk about how Harlow should be on the show, like Ronnie Burns was. But then they're eating dinner in front of Jack. They never give Jack any dinner or offer any dinner to Jack, right? And so Jack's just sort of standing there watching them eat. Yeah. It's like, what never seen anything quite like this. But that added to the humor of the situation. But I was like, okay, this is really bizarre. You would think I mean, but it could have been funny too if Don just stabbed a piece of meat and go, "You want some, Jack?" You know? It's like,
but I guess
while you're standing there, have some meat.
I guess in a way it's a callback to when he was first talking with Ronnie on stage, and Jack says, "Oh, I've been at your house so many times,"
Yes.
and Ronnie says, "But where do you live? We've never been invited to dinner at your house." So
I love that too. That was great timing. Like I said, on Ronnie's part, that was really well done. I just love how they write for guests on Jack's show, where they let every person gets the best of Jack, and he's always let that be in his radio show and his television show. How could you not want to be a guest star?
yeah.
You know they're going to make you look good. He's never had a guest star look bad that I've ever seen. The only ones, I guess, the only ones who kind of come across not the greatest are when he has like politicians, governors and mayors and things, and they can't even quite get their lines out, even though they're really well written lines for them, but they can barely even speak. So it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. And then Jack is so great. He's like, why don't you take that over again or whatever? Give me that again.
Yeah.
He wants the audience to get the joke, and for the joke to be actually
or Sam Goldwyn on the radio.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But I agree with you. In the trade press, they would say that that's how Jack got Marilyn Monroe and Humphrey Bogart and folks like that on the in the 50s. That movie stars knew that they would be in very good hands.
Yes. Yes, and you get a whole episode worked around you essentially, and it's great. It's not like, oh, you're gonna come on and do one number and then that's it. It's like, we're gonna really write the whole show right around you, and it's beautiful. So anyway, so enjoy this episode. It's a lot of fun. Happy Easter if it's Easter time for you. Hopefully we'll be playing this each Easter for you and things, because it's just kind of a fun episode overall. And I like that they're trying to reach it's like they're trying to reach a teen audience with Ronnie Burns, but then they're like, what else we got to reach a teen? Oh, we can do Harlow. Harlow can reach a teen audience. Like, we're gonna have him act like he's 4.
Yeah.
And so it really doesn't work. He doesn't come across as the cool, he's not even a cool 4-year-old. So
Before we go, I wanted to mention they were talking about the Easter parade where I
Yes.
guess people walk around in fancy clothes,
Yes.
and they mention something that I'd never heard of, so I wanted to look it up. It was sack dresses.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And so it was like a real fad, I guess, in the 50s. Maybe you guys know more about it than I do. I looked up some images. Some of them are ridiculous, like almost literally wearing a sack.
Wearing sack.
That
Yeah.
were, yeah.
So
But
you're
as we head
absolutely
into
right.
the
Yeah.
60s, it seems like most of them are more, I don't know if you can see that, but they're more like this, where it's just like not quite as fitted, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought that was really
But
interesting.
they
That's a
also
great-
some of them were poofy at the bottom and then
Right.
like tied in or something around
Yeah.
the legs to bring it in. So it's like a cinch on a sack, like you're wearing
Yeah.
a sack that you would normally close up at the top, but you're wearing
Right.
it upside
Yeah.
down, right? And
Um, Lucille Ball made fun of sack dresses too. She and Ricky are in Hollywood and they go to a fashion show and you
Uh-huh.
see these things. You're right. It was a fad, a top-down fashion decree from France, but very different from the nipped-in waist and wide skirts, the
Yes.
kind of things that Mary Livingston loves to wear.
Right.
So it was as you say, it was a very different kind of shape and didn't last very long, thank God, but it was odd.
I'm still waiting for us to find the episode where Mary's wearing a sack dress. I would love to see that. I have a feeling it doesn't exist. So there we go. Anyway, enjoy, and we'll see you folks next time.
Appearing on tonight's program were Lois Cornett, Dale White, Paul Power, and Seymour Rosen. Choreography by Jack Boyle. Remember, 1 week from tonight on this same station, be sure and watch the new Bachelor Father show starring John Forsythe. And next Friday on most of these stations, watch the exciting new series about the Texas Rangers Crackdown, brought to you by Lucky Strike, product of the American Tobacco Company. Remember, tobacco is our middle name. And here's a word for filter tip smokers.
Are you a steady smoker? Then Filter Tip Terratin is the cigarette for you. Mildness makes the difference. Because you don't smoke just one cigarette. You smoke pack after pack, day after day. And all the way, Terratin's special kind of mildness is on your side. Mildness that comes from good-tasting mild tobaccos. And a filter that really filters. Remember,
Smoke Filter Tip Terratin, Filter Tip Terratin. Mildness makes the difference.
Jack Benny's next television program will be in 2 weeks. This is Don Wilson saying good night.
Maurice Chevalier, Guy Lombardo, Betty Johnson and the Johnson family, and the Chicago Opera Ballet join Ed Sullivan next on the CBS Television Network.